Now, you've heard a lot about the interweb, social media, campaigning, and how social media is going to bring social justice. Well, I must confess, this session, 25 minutes, a short, sharp session, is inspired by a website, OurSay.org.
The Communities in Control OurSay asked users to post questions about the relationship between government, NGOs and the community, and what issues we need to think about for the future. During the OurSay, the top questions were taken to the annual Communities in Control conference in Melbourne. The top 3 questions were answered by a panel of Fran Bailey, John Thwaites and Stephen Mayne.
Question number 1, and panel will take your responses in any order they come. It goes a little bit like this. Victorian Premier Ted Bailey supports voluntary euthanasia. We're starting off with the gentle one to warm them up. Ted Bailey supports voluntary euthanasia. So do the overwhelming majority of Victorians and Australians across all states and territories. Why isn't it law? Over to you for that one, panel.
The question, of course, is why hasn't government moved on this? And it hasn't moved on it because while some reports will say that a majority of the community is in favour of it, someone will always come up with another report that says that the majority are not in favour of it. And governments, by their very nature, can be out in front on some issues, but on an issue which is such a deeply personal issue, I don't think that any government, no matter what its political stripes, would be prepared to get way out in front. So I think actually there probably is still a lot more work that needs to be done within the communities to convince government that this in fact is something that government should move on.
It's also about all the safeguards and risks around that. And certainly for me, that's one of the things that would weigh pretty heavily, that I place such a high priority on human life that I'd be very, very concerned to ensure that there are great safeguards before euthanasia were introduced.
Yes, there is a clear majority, but it's not in the public's top 10. So it's not a vote changer.
According to some news poll polling, about 85% of people support euthanasia legislation. Can I call a snap poll in the room in favour of legislation to make as an option, dying with dignity or euthanasia? Hands up if you're in favour. Yes, typical bunch of lefties, almost 100%. Number 2, 1 in 14 children in Australia is born without the capacity to gain, understand or use language. Without intervention, they face a drastic future. So much so that 50% of youth offenders in this country have a serious oral language deficiency. Why, as a nation, are we not tackling the challenges that these children present us with? Which is a preposition at the end. The challenges with which these children present us. Pretty ironic, isn't it? But anyway, panel.
But I'll start by saying I wasn't aware of this issue, certainly the extent that it's set out in the question. So I suppose that's the first answer, that I don't think people in government and politics are aware. And my recommendation would be, if this is correct, that there needs to be information and education for policy officers and the community and the media about the issues.
And maybe Fran's right about the overcrowded curriculums. I'm a supporter of NAPLAN in the sense that it's the early detection, will help with detection and therefore with resourcing and early intervention.
Do we like what Stephen said? Yeah. We do? Good, I missed it. I was just updating my Facebook status. Question number 3, and it will just be a beautiful finish because we'll have time for the third question. The top 3, these have been voted on by you, a totally different issue, and it goes a little bit like this. It's simple. Let's set up nursing homes for young people. Why isn't the government helping to make this happen? Over to you, panel.
This is a question that I've had some experience with, and I think it's an issue that is often hidden in society, and far too few of our members of parliament, I think, are even aware of it. I can still vividly remember going to a nursing home in my electorate and been taken on a tour through the nursing home, and I found it very confronting, I have to say, and only to discover that there were two relatively young people there. One had MS and the other one was a young man who'd very sadly come off a motorcycle and had severe head injuries. Now, there was no one there to actually cater to the needs of those two people. There were no activities. They were in, certainly the young woman with MS was fully alert to what was happening in her surroundings. I actually still feel upset even thinking about that day, because the honest answer is, you know, that not much has been done. This is an issue that really does have to be brought to the attention of our members of parliament at all levels of government.
After the conference, voting and posting continued for 2 weeks. The top 3 questions are now being addressed by local, state and federal government.
Folks, please thank our 3 panellists: Fran Bailey, popular local member, John Thwaites and Stephen Mayne.